Well, hello. Aren't I just so clever? Hello, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good everything in this beautiful world. Welcome to Solutions with Aquarius Rising Africa again. And it is Wonderful Wednesday. Yay! Wellness Wednesday, Wacky Wednesday, all the amazing things that Wednesday can be. And it's very chilly Wednesday, yeah, as well. As you can see, Thea and I are both all, yeah, absolutely wrapped up and scarfed up. And yeah, the coldness is suddenly set in.
Trying
Boom.
to send you
Here
some
it is.
heat from Georgia because it's hot as I'm sweating like a whore in church right now. Like it is. That's my favorite Southern saying. That is one. That is a saying I will be taking into the new timeline. It's sweating like a whore in church. I'll send you guys some of that heat from the south because it's very warm. We're getting into our very hot, sticky time of the year here. So
You can definitely send us some heat, that's for sure. We could do with it, that's for sure. Anyway, yay. So we are on Keycode 3, Green Tara, right?
yes, ma'am. Green Tara.
So, but I mean, what have you guys thought about I mean, have you got anything just to, before we carry on, just like as a little bit of a synopsis or where we at? Anything that highlights for you so far?
I'm actually really excited to do Green Tara again because out of all of the Ascended Masters, the first time I did this book, she wasn't the one that really stuck out to me the most. And so I'm excited to actually do it again. And I will say, for those who are watching who've done this before, this book, doing it multiple times, it gets more and more and more potent the more times you do it. And so for
Yeah.
people who think it's just one, it's never one and done with spirituality anyway, right? It's never just one and done. It's always a review, a review, a review. It's reviewing everything because as your realm of perception changes, you notice things differently in the text and the subtleties of the text. But I know you were excited.
Yeah.
You know what were before we started filming? What excites you about Green Tara?
Oh, claiming back our innocence and that it was never gone. That's very beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just the the divine feminine Christ as well, you know. I think that's so important for us to realize is that spirituality is not masculine. It's the combination of both, and it can't operate effectively with one feeling more elevated than the other, which is a big reason why I think we're in the place we're in, because we're still finding that balance of figuring that out. So, yeah, very
There's
nice.
there's something I will say too that I find to be fascinating, and I read this in the Arcturian anthology, and I'll kind of bring it up, and who knows, guys, this is all just speculation, but it made sense to me. And I was when you're talking about the Christ consciousness, we have been trained to believe that only one person on the planet was the Christ, when in reality the Christ was something that he and his wife Magdalene were teaching, because everybody is the Christ. Everybody has the Christ consciousness. But something the Arcturians talked about, and again, take it with a grain of salt, it's speculation, that when the Anunnaki came to this planet, I think we spoke about this with the Emerald Tablets as well, they came looking for gold because they needed more gold for their resources for their planet. They were here just on an expedition to get energy supplies, but they had a hard time with the elements of this planet, and so they created a subspecies to be humanoid that would be enslaved to them, and those are our descendants. And so we have within our DNA coding on this planet, we have the need to want to be enslaved. It's part of our DNA to want to follow the leader, to want to, like, we are, from what I understand, we're the only planet that has religions, because we have this in our DNA to want to see somebody else as having the answers, to be enslaved to a system. And so I thought that was really fascinating when I read that, because it's knowledge. I know Mr. Fox said this, and I say this, the Cassiopeans say this: knowledge is power, knowledge protects, and knowledge is infinite. And so when you understand your genetic makeup, that there is a propensity to want to bow down to another person or a system because you're genetically, then you can start to see where that is and start to course correct that DNA.
Reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because the South African guy, Michael Tellinger, wrote a book called The Slave Species of God. I'm referring to a lot of that. I think, yep, there it is. There it
I was
is.
introducing it to my cousin today. It's like, you have to read it.
Yeah. And in there, and that's exactly what they're saying, because you see, we all have 12. 12 is one of the sacred numbers, right? So we all have 12 strands of DNA, although 10 strands have been literally disconnected. Okay, so we operate on the double helix, and scientists have termed that junk DNA because they really don't know what it is. So what happens is, as we start spiritually remembering and reclaiming back and let us never forget that's all part of the illusion of separation, guys. Because we agreed. You see, none of this has happened without our agreement or our consent, actually. Long before we even came into this body and long before we even remember, we agreed to be part of this experiment, if you will, of the illusion of separation. So, of course, when you are in full power, in full consciousness, no one is taking advantage of the other type thing. When you're in that space, opposite of that is being enslaved or enslaving yourself or feeling like something else is more powerful than you. Remember, we're experiencing dualities here. So part of that is really creating that experience for ourselves, because that's ultimately what we did. And then understanding that part of that experience, of course, that translates into the human body is only 2 active strands of DNA, which means we then run around like little sheeple and little whatever, believing everything else is someone else's responsibility and we need to take orders, until we start remembering who we are.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in one foul swoop. And this is exactly when we talk about the Kundalini activation as well. When you've reached a certain level of understanding, that activation takes place of itself. And then literally it shoots up the spine, does its thing, and at the same time reactivates the Kundalini, which is a transformational element within each and every cell of the body. And that's when the DNA then starts ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. The DNA then slowly but surely starts reconnecting itself. And then it's like we go, ding, layer comes off our eyes. Wow. I remember something. I had a past life dream. Is it possible we had past lives? Suddenly we're starting remembering then who we are. But it's a process we go through at the speed that our consciousness is able to recall and reclaim. So, yes, we've been a slave species for a long time. Mm-hmm. And we can see that's no fairy tale. That's no conspiracy theory. All we have to do is look what's around us, right? Look at how we've allowed ourselves to be controlled.
And how we think it's necessary. We feel like as humans, like we have to go to the expert. So it's not just religion, it's the science, it's the education. We become enslaved because that's how. And when you start to know this, when you realize this about humanity, that's when you can start to go, okay, when you feel yourself with that propensity of going, I have to follow this person. That's why cults. I mean, I doubt there are cults on other planets. That's how cults pop up, right? And so you can go, oh, okay, I see. This is just the trigger from my DNA. That's all this is. And now I can course correct. And that's one thing. So I think as I was saying, this Sophia Code, these ascended masters are not the ones activating you. You are activating yourself through reading their words. It is all you, boo. Like they actually can't activate you. You're the only one that can do that for yourself. And I always say that's a great privilege that you have. Now that might trigger people or freak people out because again, your DNA has been created or altered to think you need somebody other than yourself to do it for you, right? To serve it, to bow down to something else.
Yeah.
So,
and it's what we were saying as well. It's like 99% of us are programmed to be in poverty.
Yep.
So we are conditioned that way. And by the way, I actually wanted to mention before, and I'm going to take this gap. I'm currently, I'm starting my new program on the 1st of June. And it's the conscious creation with Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
So we're using yoga, we're using Ho'oponopono, and we are using your inner alchemy to reverse exactly the things we're talking about. So it's an 8-week program, and it's a live workshop with me. It's only taking 12 people. So anyone out there who's interested in joining us on this, please just email me. Yeah, Thea's already in.
Send me all the information, Shanti. I'll put it up on my channel as well for you.
Yeah, will do. Thank you. Yes.
And I apologize if you guys hear hammering and banging. That's coming from outside. There's no demons in the room with me. That's just the freaking construction workers. I just apologize before some people start creating conspiracies that there's.
Yeah, all sorts of things going on. Yeah, but anyway, so it really is about understanding. You know, it's so important to be able to understand our own spiritual intelligence, because when we start understanding where we come from and what that really means and who we truly belong to, you know, we don't belong to anyone or anything. We are actually an expression of ourselves, you know, a greater version of ourselves. We dreamed ourselves into existence in exactly the way we are. And most people don't understand that, you know. And some of us dream ourselves into a very murky existence. And that's part of being human. We've had to dream ourselves into a murky existence as well. But now it's about getting out of it, because we can, and it's kind of darkest before the dawn. And this is where we're getting confused between who do we follow, what's there to see, you know, and all of these things. And it's so not what most of us think it is, you know. We're so not needing to follow anyone else or anything else. It's really trusting your inner guidance system. It's knowing that your intuition is your light, but how do you learn to trust your intuition? And most of us haven't learned how to do that yet. So when we start learning how to trust ourselves and start flexing these muscles, the spiritual muscles, because life is spiritual. And when we compact into our human meat suit, we forget how to use these tools. And it's also been important that we did forget. But now it's time to remember again and reclaim, recycle. Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, do you want to get going on the Keycode 3, Brice?
Well, I finished it off last week. Does somebody else want to start it this week? I mean, I don't mind selling it, but if you guys, I mean, I finished it off last week, so I don't know if I don't want to hog the reading, but I'll be glad to start if that's what you want me to do.
I'll do it. I know last week because I didn't have light. Now I have light. So I shall be first today.
Go, take it away, Shanti. You're like, not today, Satan. Not today.
Yeah, exactly.
Not today. Take it away.
Okay, she of 1,000 stars. I am the star within the tree of life, revealing the cosmic serpent of Sophia's light. I release all judgments and understanding about the nature of reality, so that my innocence may guide me to the womb of nothing. It is here that I increase my embodiment of living wisdom by allowing what is arising to inform my ever-present now for the liberation of all beings. Green Taurus speaks. I welcome you to the sanctuary of my Keycode 3 transmission. I'm the Radiant One and Divine Feminine Christ teacher, Green Tara. My Sophia embodiment title is She of 1,000 Stars, in reflection of my intellect diplomacy, for which I'm renowned throughout the cosmos. In Tibetan Buddhism, my embodiment as Green Tara is honored as the first manifestation of Sophia's light. Yet my journey to you as an ascended master mentor began in a human form in the Sirius star system on a planet called Karnak. To my people, Karnak means secret chambers of the heart, which for many lifetimes I walked on the planet Karnak, just as you now walk on Earth. I endured lifetimes of suffering to become an embodied vehicle of transcendent compassion. I share the story of my ascension in Sirius so that you may know that I understand the human experiences of your own journey through form. For eons of spiritual evolution on Karnak, we waged a bitter war upon ourselves, exploring the alchemical synthesis of the dark and light dualities of our collective free will power. We dissected our vulnerability by examining how our hearts would emotionally evolve and generate compassion to the testing ground of escalating planet-wide atrocities. In essence, we were a people torn over how to evolve as a compassionate race of beings. We tortured ourselves for our own mastery. We created the demons of our greatest fears to stare us in the face. As free will creators, we discovered what the sovereign power of our divine inheritance truly meant. Just as humanity now struggles to ascend beyond war consciousness, we as a people struggled for eons to transcend our needless harm and destruction of form in order to gain knowledge and wisdom. I lived on Karnak for every defining juncture along this evolutionary timeline. I suffered in an astounding amount of incarnations, exploring my ability to remain in communion with Holy Spirit within me, regardless of all outer circumstances. Lifetime after lifetime, I took bodhisattva vows, committing myself to become an awakened embodied solution for transmuting the collective suffering of an entire population and planet. It was my people that birthed the spiritual concept of being bodhisattva on Karnak and delivered that practice on earth. The grace of Sophia descended at the height of our collective suffering when she appointed council members from the Sophia dragon tribe to incarnate in generational waves upon Karnak. With the tipping point ratio of golden dragon teachers incarnating as awakened masters, the many free will experiments causing an epidemic of war finally gave way to a shift in collective common sense. The way home to embodying planetary-wide peace began as the first golden age cycle on our planet. It would take the rise and fall of many additional golden age cycles of our people to fully heal the secret chambers of the heart of Karnak. From this evolutionary journey arose the Syrian alchemical resurrection teachings that Isis and Osiris are known for on your planet. Just as I incarnated through eons of suffering, I then committed to incarnational cycle as an embodied master of Sophia consciousness for the benefit of my people, my planet, and all beings. In my final embodiment on Karnak, I lived as a celebrated divine feminine Christ teacher in a golden age cycle called Shambhala. The golden age of Shambhala, yes, it is right, Shambhala, yeah. On Karnak created such an extraordinary blueprint of embodying divine love through a balanced feminine and masculine heart intelligence that our planet ascended in its sovereignty beyond the gravitational limitations of orbiting the star, Sirius C. In the collective rapture of divine love, we merged into the sun of our solar system. We as a people and a planet continue to live a physical existence at a much higher dimensional reality of light, joy, and purpose. Our ascended civilization became revered as the Syrian star nation and was initiated into the interstellar family of light with the honor of becoming a contributing diplomatic high council. Our Syrian civilization provides a system for tracking the evolutionary timelines of incarnating souls across the quantum reality. As a result of my steadfast commitment to embodying sovereignty and compassion in all of my lifetimes, the history of my many incarnations on Karnak became legendary. The contributions that the Holy Spirit of my higher self made as a divine feminine Christ embodiment were recognized as an essential contribution on the ascension of Karnak. As such, at the height of Shambhala's glory, my service in Sirius was complete. I received my final rites of initiation and became an ascended master. Within the ecstatic bliss of my ascension, I was called by the voice of Sophia into high council and was invited to become an evolutionary Keycode embodiment for the Sophia dragon tribe. Sophia spoke to me of a twin planet to Karnak called Sophia Gaia, also known as Mother Earth. In honor of those who went before me preparing the way for Karnak's ascension, I chose to be initiated as a golden dragon teacher for the ascension of humanity and Sophia Gaia. My most well-known lineage on earth is currently Tibetan Buddhism, which was originally seeded in India. However, signs of my involvement within other cultures can be found around the world, including emanations such as Celtic Tara of Ireland and as a star woman of the Cheyenne people of North America. How interesting.
I was about to say it's Cheyenne people, and this all sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Karnak is
absolutely.
It sounds very familiar of what we're going through.
Heck yeah. Descending through my light body into northern India, I appeared to a small community of Shaivite masters whose purified hearts and inner eyes were open to receive my sacred heart blueprints for living Sophia Christ consciousness in form. I provided direct revelations on the interwoven principles of universal laws, quantum reality, magnetic prosperity, regenerative immortal health, spiritual alignment with the one universal source, and the bhakti of unconditional divine love. My Syrian teachings transmitted to these Shaivite masters became the foundation for Vedic practices that arose in the Indus Valley civilization. Eventually, the heart of my teachings would be swept into the momentum of Buddhism and carried to the open-hearted indigenous people of Tibet and Nepal. There I seated my consciousness upon the throne of the Himalayas, transmitting the way of Shambhala to listening civilizations. I am most known on earth through this Tibetan Buddhist lineage that honors me as the mother of all Buddhas and as the swift savioress of liberation and compassion. There are many practices in this lineage that originate from my Syrian civilization, including the tracking of incarnational cycles for recognizing exemplary spiritual leadership. When you feel drawn to me as a mentor, this indicates that you are directly connected to an evolutionary arc of secret Sophia lineages that originated from Sirius and beyond. Your many incarnations reflect your shared journey in seeding Syrian ascension teachings on Sophia Gaia to prepare humanity for the next golden age of miracles. It is also an indication that your higher self is ready to shine the ascending starlight of your divinity in the vehicle of your human body. Just as I've walked the way ahead of you, you are preparing to become an ascended master as well. My presence awakens your own direct connection and involvement with the many interstellar diplomatic councils working together for your planet's peace. Your Mother Earth is an essential keycode for the ascending universal body of Sophia Christ. My Keycode 3 transmissions help you navigate the deluge of challenging feelings that arise on such a heroic human journey to reconcile your species as stewards of peace. It is safe for you to reveal and embody the cosmic code of Sophia's covenant to the liberation of humanity through the remembrance of your own sovereignty. That was lovely, actually. It just makes its perfect sense because I can totally identify with that, the struggle between understanding, as we experiencing and exploring the duality of who we are, the opposites, and how do we as a species then come to an agreement of what is the best way to do it? Is violence the answer? Or how do we find a place of compassion and building and, blending and healing such hectic struggles and separations, if that makes sense, ripping apart in a compassionate way? And I think that right now is probably one of the key and the core struggles we on earth here have, because we've so forgotten that we all belong to each other, and that we are all just the same, the two wings of the same bird, really, at the end of the day. So it's very interesting, when we look at that, we understand, we know what she's saying, how we, at the beginning, were fighting about understanding this concept of duality, and how do we come together despite our differences, right?
Yeah.
It's in a lot of what it's interesting. You're talking about the suffering, the violence, which the opposite is the compassion. And a lot of what you're going to see with Green Tara is also going to come up with Kuan Yin as well. This idea of going into the depths of almost like literal hell in order to come back the other side, changed for the better. And it's I mean, you've said this, Shanti, I've said this before. Obviously, I know this is going to trigger people, but oh well, that's what we do best. Obviously, God has use for Lucifer, or Lucifer wouldn't be here.
Well,
right?
I always say Lucifer is God's creation. Mm-hmm. We can never forget that, and God doesn't make mistakes. And really, if we are logical, this is no fairy tale. This is really just you understanding that Thea's gone into darkness.
All of a sudden,
this is just you recognizing what's happening. Lucifer represents our greed, our fears, look at anyone who's sold their soul. It's all for money, for fame, for fortune, for wealth, whatever it might be, something that they felt they did not have within them to create, just with themselves aligned with God. So they had to go to all sorts of lengths to make that happen, and really put themselves into some very bad karmic cycles. Because when you forget who you are, when you lose your soul, you do things very out of the ordinary. You do things that you don't know what you're doing. It's like sleepwalking. You're completely blissfully unaware of your actions, but doesn't mean you're not responsible for them, right? So that's why it's so important, and this process, this is why I keep, and Brice, we all do, keep hammering home that all these guys have done is taken everything that exists and turned it upside down. All we have to do is reverse that. None of the things that the signs, the symbols, everything is evil. That is not evil. What these guys have done is they've turned it in that way to bend humanity's mind into believing these things are evil, so that everything other than that, there were only one thing, is good. Lucifer shows us that, and when you can transcend that, and it's all about frequency. Lucifer's, yes, does take on the shape, obviously, of the AC, whatever, big conversation about that. But it's energy, Lucifer's energy, right? Lucifer can morph into anything, and so can God. Lucifer's God in the dark. I mean, we've got to understand that. So when we get that, we realize the perfection. It doesn't make it easy, but we realize the perfection in that. And the greatest masters have understood perfection does not always feel good.
Sometimes it rarely feels good.
Someone is complaining about the sound. Whose sound is it?
I keep
cultivating to 5D. You've just left a message on the chat saying the sound is bad. Whose sound is it?
I'll mute myself again because there is construction outside. But I'm going to mute myself here. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We must remember. I just want to add, we must remember, like you said, Santi, Lucifer was created with purpose, like all of us. He is the bringer of light. He shines light on our shit. basically.
Yeah, exactly. And and no doubt, because then when you see, when you speak to, and this has been a great gift for me over these past 3 years, especially speaking with so many whistleblowers and survivors in this that have survived this Luciferian system. They are trained, the operators, the operatives within the system are trained to smell out this iniquity in the spirit, so to speak. So they will know who is corruptible, and they will corrupt whoever they can. I mean, I speak to someone who tells a story of how they would go to churches, and their job at these, especially these charismatic churches, their job was to corrupt. And boy, did they corrupt. And they did so with glee, because they knew all humanity's weak spots, and they completely honed into that. And they had the time of their lives.
I will say that aspect, that section where Mr. Fox spoke about that with you, Shanti, was really eye-opening, where he talked about the pastors, the head of these are negatively oriented souls. So they have a soul and they've chosen to go dark, to go negative, and they're using their flying monkeys, the organic portals, to pull in souled people to then feed off of those souled people. And that is the definition of a church. That is literally what church means. And I don't know if Mr. Fox knows that's what church means, with the Greek goddess Circe hypnotizing, feeding off of. And so, yes, but it's that, it goes again back to that DNA in us, where we find ourselves having the propensity to get stuck in these situations because our DNA is telling us we have to worship and serve another being. We have to bow down before. So when we know that, we can start to like reversing a car, like reverse right out and be like, sorry, whoopsie daisy. Nope, I'm going to leave now. All right,
pop,
cool.
pop.
Sorry.
Pop, pop.
Yep. So
exactly.
So, yeah. It's
and that's what I want to say, and that's in my journeys what I've discovered, which also in the workshop that I'm going to be teaching now in June, that's what we do. We reverse, we reverse, we reverse, we reverse, we reverse, we reverse, and before you know it, you've got it. We just got to get through that initial going
backwards,
and unplaiting the plait, unknotting the knot, And let me tell you, it's not just because each person is so unique and individual. So it's not just one way of doing it. It's about understanding your frequency, because your frequency is completely different to someone else's frequency, no matter how close your experiences might be. Yeah. So again, it's taken away from the outside, everything that's external, and looking completely within and working with that. It's amazing, actually, when you start reversing. It's very powerful.
And I wanted
unraveling.
Make it clear too, like, you guys, we've all fucked up. Like, we've all got stuck in situations where we realize. So I
haven't. Speak for yourself. I never have.
Never. Like, when people, you start to realize this, like, don't feel embarrassed. Like, just laugh and be like, whoopsie daisy, LOL. You got me there, Anunnaki. You got me there. Like, I'm gonna just now go in peace, So yeah, I want to make that clear. Like, there's no judgment coming from any of us who've been doing this a while, for people who are realizing, that experience of being enslaved, that experience of being enslaved by your mind, by thinking it's what now gives you a starting point to untangle that. There's wisdom to be gained from those experiences, and your higher self does know that you can now. It's like my favorite quote: a religious person is a person who has never seen hell. A spiritual person is a person who's been to hell and back. Right? You can start to have that wisdom and compassion because you've been there. So there is no judgment, just laugh at yourself. It's like if you were that person at the Bethel church where they were turning the smoke, the fog machine on, you can laugh about that and be like, yeah, I totally fell for that. Like, I totally got me there. You totally got me there. But now I see it. Now I see where the on and off button is. And so I can reverse myself back out and be like, y'all have fun with your little shit show. I'm going to go over here and do my own thing, with your bibbity boppity boo hocus pocus.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
absolutely.
That's part of the journey of being human is to understand
Yeah.
these things, go through these experiences so that you have a visceral understanding of what this actually is and what this means. So
yeah, absolutely. Someone's saying it sounds like a loose mic. Whose mic is scratching?
I don't have my mic.
Thea, do you have earphones?
I'm on my cell phone, just no extra things. But I'll mute maybe. Let's see.
It could very well be the construction outside of my window right now. I don't know if you guys can hear that hammering, which scares me that I might lose internet at some point because they're lovely people. Let me just put it that way. The construction company, they can use this. Maybe I should gift them the Sophia Code.
They probably need it. Yes.
They probably need it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not sure if that has changed anything. I just also heard I must say, just now I heard something from time to time scratching, which did sound like earphones. When you have earphones and little mic scratches against your chain or something like that. I heard something like that.
I don't have earphones.
Okay, well, so Michelle Bird is saying that's better. The scratching around stopped. So, Thea, are you scratching there?
I'm sitting still for a change. I'm on my cell phone, so every now and again I just do that to keep the screen alive. Okay. I don't know if it's that, but I'll put my mic off.
Cool. All right. Brice, do you want to take the next one?
Absolutely, you guys. Once again, I apologize if you hear the construction workers. I will let us know if it gets too annoying with the construction workers outside while I'm reading this. Okay. Your Eco Ascension Studies with Sophia Gaia. The divine qualities of Keycode 3 are connected with anchoring the descent of heavenly realities into form. As a divine feminine Christ embodiment for this planet, my overlighting transmission encodes the crystalline ascension teachings from multiple star systems into the Akashic record library of your Mother Earth. It's interesting. We always think about the Akashic records being for us, but I know with Mr. Fox, you guys spoke about that. And we've spoken about this, that Mother Earth is also a living being who has her own Akashic records as well. Her own spiritual growth and learning, right? I'm an active ambassador for Sophia Gaia, amplifying and broadcasting the divine feminine wisdom that arises from the perfect intelligence of her ecosystems. I guide humanity into its role as both a steward and student of her grace. Those souls drawn to my teaching embodiment are part of an ancient lineage of angelic guardians for Sophia Gaia, who have participated in this planet's ascension for millennia. So listen, y'all, if you think you've been through this rodeo before, you probably have. She's basically saying, listen, y'all are old. This is not your first rodeo. You've done this many times before. So
putting it into practice now.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Just remember, you've done this before. Let us be clear. The original Shambhala teachings that I brought to this planet do not devalue the powerful choice to incarnate into form. Rather, my transmission reveals that your body and your planet are holy vehicles for awakening your awareness to the holies of all form. For form is the one body of Christ within Sophia's consciousness. I represent the divine feminine Christ light of Sophia's descent as the Shekinah into form, the Holy Spirit that manifests your body and this planet to her divine nature of all things. Those magnetized to my Green Tara practices have a relationship with nature as a living intelligence that informs their consciousness. My initiates know that animals speak and teach through telepathy. Those embodying my teachings are drawn to indigenous practices that honor the elemental devas and guardian spirits tending to the natural balance of Sophia Gaia's countless ecosystem. Honoring this bridge of eco-communion naturally arises within the hearts of my initiates. Therefore, those drawn to mentor with me often have a strong inclination to shamanic practices that include ritual, ceremony, divination, offering, altars, and consecration. Your planet is a highly sought-after academy for environmental ascension studies. Interesting how if we all just sat around and looked at our environment that we're in an academy of ascension studies, I think that would make everything that happens to you, you would be able to view it with a little bit different of a perspective.
Yeah.
So you're not the victim anymore. You're in an academy.
What level ascension study am I now? Probably 7,029 and going strong.
I'm like, why haven't I figured this out yet to be done? Like, what's wrong with me?
Exactly. Is this have I chosen the never-ending stairway?
I know, right? Like, why do I keep having to come back here? I think I need some tutoring because obviously this academy is just a never-ending ride, merry-go-round. So, anyway, we can't. But that is really interesting. Like, I obviously I didn't highlight that my book's starting to fall apart. I've read it so many times now. To really think about that, your planet is a highly sought-after academy for environmental ascension studies. You are in. We know we're in the Harvard of third density planets. Like, this is one of the hardest third density planets to be on. So congratulations, you made it into like a really hard school, but to really see it that way. So everything that happens to you in life, like that sentence just jumped out to me differently than the first time I read this. Like, to really see everything you go through in life, not as woe is me, I'm a victim, but okay, this is just another, this is more homework. This is another class I'm in to try to figure out my ascension studies. She goes on to say, light workers from across the universe apply for the great honor to study planetary eco-ascension templates within the body of Sophia Gaia. That's what the Law of One has said as well. That you are so freaking lucky to have a spot on this earth. I know from them, and Mr. Vox can talk more about this, the Law of One, there were souls lined up with the opportunity to be on the planet at this particular time for this particular shit show. And you were selected. And you were selected to come and be a part of this. That means, people watching right now, that means that you are extremely powerful and that you can handle it. That means that you are a high priority soul, that you are able to take on, you are old enough and you've done this rodeo so many times that you're able to do this. So every time you feel, because I know that feeling of, I can't do this, this is too hard. Like, every time you feel that, just remember, I'll read that again. Write it down, put it on your refrigerator, put it on your bathroom mirror to remind yourself every single day that you're a freaking badass that came down here. And if you take Shanti's strip aerobics classes, you'll be a badass with a good ass. So,
strip aerobics. I've never in my life friggin' taught strip aerobics. Just shows you exactly what idea people have of pole
dancing.
Now suddenly I'm doing strip aerobics.
We call it strip aerobics in America. That's what we call it. The pole dancing. Like, go take her. You'll be like, yeah, I'm a badass with a great ass, and I'm here because I was put here because I can handle it, right? Like, and you can look good doing it. I always say we're the pretty ones on this side. The battle, we're the pretty ones. So let's put this on, you guys. Put this on your refrigerator. Put this on your bathroom mirror. Your planet is highly sought after academy for environmental ascension studies. Light workers from across the universe apply for the great honor to study planetary eco-ascension temples within the body of Sophia Gaia. They apply, but you got in. You got in. Let me remind you guys, everybody watching right now, none of this I'm too weak bullshit. You got in. God doesn't make mistakes. All those souls that wanted to come down for this experience and couldn't get in because they didn't have the resume, they didn't have the experience, they didn't have the, but you have. So remember that. And that is why The controllers know that. That is why they do so much to try to like distract you and take control of your mind, because they know how they wouldn't be doing all this nonsense if they didn't know how powerful you were. They just don't want you to know that. They don't want you to remember that. So I don't even have that underlined, but I'm going to go back and re-under because that really jumped out at me. She goes on to say, Mother Earth's vast curriculum for eco-ascension studies includes tracking the spiritual evolution of millions of species, both seen and unseen at higher dimensional frequency, a multitude of complex ecosystem relationships, as well as the etherical astral planes and inner earth civilizations that interface with Sophia Gaia's body. Now, I've covered the inner earth civilizations before on my channel. I don't know if we've ever talked about them. Agartha, and Agartha's capital is called Shallambala. I can never say that word. That's the capital of their inner earth world. So she's talking about that. We here you go. So if you ever wonder, do we have an inner earth? Absolutely, we do. There it is. Sophia Gaia is an oversoul completely dedicated to her divine service of creating space and form for initiates to experience and remember their sovereign Christ light. So experience and remember your sovereign Christ light. Not to be, she's not saying I'm gonna come give it to you. She's saying you're going to remember that it already exists within you. As a goddess of overflowing abundance and generosity, she creates unlimited space for billions of species to explore their free will and limitless divine nature by incarnating within her body. Your planet has birth within the heart womb of a Sophia dragon. As such, Mother Earth is a holographic matrix of seraphim DNA perpetually giving birth to environments that likewise provide space and time for you to explore your own ability to birth the divine will of Sophia into form. Therefore, incarnating within Sophia Gaia's consciousness mentors you as an immaculate birther of reality. That's a heavy paragraph there for you guys to really, you are a birther of realities. You are a manifester. You are able, we see this in Thoughts Emerald Tablets as well, that you, because you are such a powerful badass with a great ass, because you're taking your pole dancing classes with Chantelle on the side.
Stripper. What happened to the stripper pole dance, or what was it?
Strip aerobics. No. We call it strip aerobics.
What happened? Why was I demoted? I still want to be strip aerobics teacher.
Strip aerobics? You're the strip. Well, you go take your classes and you'll be a badass with a great ass. And you'll be walking around like in your thong, being like, "That's right, I came here to do some work." And I look
at and you have to wear a thong in my class.
And you gotta wear a thong, right? Because God don't make
something over it, of course. Yeah. Don't worry, you can wear something over it, but as long as under it is a thong.
Or you can bedazzle it.
You can bedazzle it too.
Listen, I'm sure God not only picked the most ascended souls, but probably picked the ones who had a sense of humor too, because he knew this shit was going to get rough. So yeah, one of those that could be like, tee-hee-hee, this is really crazy, guys. Tee-hee-hee, LOL, what the hell's happening? You know, because so, you know, you got to have fun and laugh at this because you're a birther of reality, right? So that's heavy. You're in a realm. So what she's saying, there is a DNA system within the earth where everything within Mother Earth is in perpetually birthing new realities. You are a part of that. You are a part of that is what she is saying. So that's incredible. Like I hope people listening, like, take this, like, I think that's the one thing the crux of what Shanti, I don't want to speak for you guys, but what we're saying is, like, you guys are very powerful and you just have no idea how freaking powerful you are, because you've been encoded to think you need a leader. You've been encoded to think you need to be of service to somebody else that's bigger than you, and they hold the keys to your salvation. In reality, you are the key to your salvation. You're it, boo. There's no bippity boppity booing, hocus pocusing. Like, you're already it. You are the alchemist. You are everything. It's all within you, and that's why you got a spot in this school called Earth. Is because you are equipped to handle it. Anyway, so yeah, walk around knowing that you are the more powerful than you give yourself credit. She says, when you feel magnetically drawn to my Keycode 3 transmission, you are consciously awakening to your divine inheritance for creating heaven on earth containers that birth new paradigm realities into form. Again, she's reiterating what we were just saying. My presence activates your awareness to recognize the many ways that Sophia Gaia Eco Ascension curriculum is directly informing your personal journey of ascension. While you are here in human form, you are simultaneously participating in her ascension. So it's not just your ascension. Mr. Fox spoke about this. It's hers as well. Earth is also on this ride with you. You and Mother Earth and all the inhabitants on this place are buckled up on the same roller coaster ride together. So be kind to Mother Earth because she is your partner in this, right?
She's the home. She's the home. She provides us a home. So
Yes.
just like you're going to clean your home and take care of your home if you want longevity, we all have to do that. She's our home.
We're a part of her. She's a part of us. We're interlinked to our planet. We're not just here. Like, I hate this nonsense of people saying, oh, a spaceship's going to come pick us up. I'm like, no, it isn't. We were put on Earth for a reason, and Earth is really freaking beautiful. Like, I can't imagine a planet more beautiful than Earth. It is so freaking beautiful. It's our planet. She's ours. We are hers. We're staying here, and we're protecting her. As you live in daily appreciation for this miraculous opportunity, your spiritual journey matures to embody Sophia Christ consciousness for the benefit of your entire planet and all beings learning alongside you. In your mentor relationship with Mother Earth, you are ultimately participating in an interstellar ascension story for the reconciliation of the one body of Sophia Christ that inhabits all form. Although your ascension is a personal journey, it is also connected to involving a much larger unified field of the one self. Your Mother Earth is an extraordinary divine feminine Christ teacher for learning how to gracefully and generously embody the same spiritual commitment to serve others as yourself, just as she does. My Keycode 3 transmission supports your awareness to make the quantum leap discovery that the more you consecrate your personal life to the happiness of your whole cosmic self, which is to say, for the happiness of all beings within the one ascending body of Sophia Christ, the more your human journey of ascension will become deeply fulfilling for you. All right. Do we want to switch readers or?
Is there anything, we want to comment there? We're just about out of time.
I know. I didn't know if that was a good place to stop for next time. I just think God works in mysterious ways. And guys, I'm going to just tell you again, go ahead and rewatch the Mr. Fox episode with Shanti from yesterday, because a lot of what y'all talked about Mother Earth remembering and having consciousness, she's saying here as well. She's reiterating that, right? So Earth is not just a non-object thing we're just on,
No.
What's it when a ball sack, we're just floating around in a ball sack in space? What was it that guy said? Was that the joke?
Yeah.
Floating testicle.
A testicle, we're just floating around in a testicle out in space somewhere? Like, no.
Earth is the living library. We must remember that. Earth is a highly intelligent planet, and it's like we carry our consciousness. It's also an individual entity, if you will, that provides us with a home. So her job, so we have this symbiotic relationship. And the reason why Earth is under so much attack, really, if you will, from the outer forces, is because she's the living library. She holds all the keys, all the codes for our transmission, for our evolution, for everything. But Earth is also the planet of karma. So the karma that we have neglected to take care of as outer world species, if you will, in eons gone by, we've kind of shoved onto Earth.
Yeah.
So we can't evolve anymore unless we come back to Earth and deal with our karma here. So we are all dealing with karma here. It's the planet of karma. Now, I can go very deep into this, but I'm not going to. That's all I'm saying. So Earth is highly intelligent. She's the living library. She carries the keys and the codes for our awakening, for our memories of who we were, of where we come from, of who we belong to, our experiences, our past lives, what we're capable of. all of that is locked within the construct or the matrix. Matrix is the word of Earth. And that's why I will always say the Ankh, you see all, is the key. And the key, because look at your aura, right? The human body is shaped like the Ankh. That's no airy fairy anything. Your aura is shaped like the Ankh. You have an electromagnetic field that surrounds your body of about 3.5 meters in the shape of the Ankh that carries all the keys, the codes, the symbols of everything you need to know. So when you tune into that, in other words, you are the key to your own living library. You are the key to your own knowledge. You are the key to your own demise or your own rise. And we make it sound so harsh on ourselves sometimes because we're so harsh on ourselves when we think we failed, but we've never failed. We had to experience what we have because that's part of the illusion of separation. And isn't it wonderful when we start remembering? So now we're much more aware, much more powerful, you know, and powerful is not something you hit someone over the head with. It's a humility. It's an understanding. Yeah. So it's a cool time to be alive, you know. Never before, I mean, think about this. Have we ever become self-seekers, if you will, or seekers, really? Let's go back into the times of Jesus, for example, and whoever else, you know, in ancient times. Human beings weren't seeking into themselves. We were still looking very external, and that's where the power of the external came from.
That's why those teachings were so revolutionary. That's why those teachings stuck out so much. Now there's a gazillion of us saying the same thing that he said, but that's at that time, that's why it became so revolutionary, is because he was saying stuff that no one had even really, you know, besides ancient had ever really considered, you know, that it's something within you and not outside of you.
Yeah.
That is what he so showed us.
Just what Michelle is saying is Gigi Young talks about how we descended and are ascending with us, and there are 7 stages. It makes sense. The chakras 3, 4, 7, and 12 are the sacred numbers. Earth is going into Venus stage, which is heart chakra, which would make sense. 4th density, 4th chakra. Yeah. So you're either going now. Remember again, like the heart chakra has 2 elements to it. So it's the joy. It's the open up your heart, you know, so you can feel the invisible, because remember the word for the heart chakra is trust. So it's the element is air. So it's the first of the non-tangible elements, and suddenly you've got to trust something that's non-tangible, right? So you've got to trust in your own intuition. You've got to trust your journey. You've got to trust this. And when you don't, the opposite of that, it's like your heart energy grows lead tentacles, and those tentacles attach themselves to all the material goods, the sex, the things that give you satisfaction in the moment. And that's how we create addictions, right? Yeah. And that's how we create this low vibration that, of course, when we're carrying that vibration, the lower 3 chakras can't transcend, because they're only going to transcend when when you start trusting this journey, then suddenly everything makes sense. The heart chakra's got, I think, a 5-meter energy span, auric span, right? Which is much stronger than any other chakra. So when, and it's going to be the same in its negative, which is why it is so easy to manipulate. If you look at sociopaths and people like that, how easy do they manipulate emotions with no feeling? They're very clever, right? So they can manipulate, they can completely emulate an emotional conversation, for example, and have all the looks and everything, right? But unless you truly feel it, but you can't lie with energy. So when your heart chakra opens, that's when you say you open to the 4th dimension, the 4th density, the Venus. Venus is not another planet. I'm going to say this, I've been saying this all the time. You're not flying off in your Pleiadian spaceship to Venus. You create Venus here. And Venus is also negative. Make no mistake. You look at the sign of Taurus, right? And the negative of that is hectic materialism. Same with Libra, which, I mean, if you look at that, I mean, and I know in the modern astrology, Libra also, Venus also rules Taurus, I mean, Libra. So you're going to have that also, you know, the beauty, the harmony, the balance, but then you're going to have the imbalance and the tantrums that come with that, right? And then, of course, the materialism. And then, of course, Taurus in its positive polarity is really about creating business, creating structure, stability, security, you know, the important things in life, that we have that structure. But in its negative polarity, it's a bull in a china shop. Do this or else. Boom. You know? So it's like, we have to find the balance between everything. And that's the bottom line at the end of the day. We've got to understand ourselves in light and in dark and realize we all actually carry these little issues within ourselves.
I will say what's funny, when you said start the spaceship, I laughed. After you guys did your show with Mr. Fox and I actually went on a walk, and I was asking about the show, and we were talking about the raw material, which is the law of one. Raw is the group they were channeling. And they talk about how there's no spaceships. Like, if they want to come to Earth, they can just come to Earth, right? Like, there's no, so when you hear this talk, this fantasy about getting on these ships and going elsewhere, in my mind, that signals escapism, that the person's trying to escape something versus actually deal with, because if we're talking about off-world entities, they're higher consciousness, they're able to just teleport them. They don't need a ship, right? They can just, we were laughing about that, about how Ra's like, nah, we can just like, boom, here we are, you know, like if we want to.
But think about this, because you see and really I think about these things a lot, because Earth is so intricate and I just love being here. And I've come here so many lifetimes that I really understand, I think, lots of things that I don't think I even think about, but then suddenly I think about them. Law of attraction or law of correspondence. Like, one of the big things with me is I will not remote view, no matter what my gifts are, because the minute you leave your body, it's like leaving your house vacant.
Yep.
So what happens is I draw things to me. I will only see what God allows me to see, and it comes to me, right? Now, this is the thing that we all have to practice on Earth, is all these spaceships and things that we think we need from outside of ourselves. When you look at medieval astrology, for example, the 7 planets are aligned to your 7 chakras. And unless your inner astrology is aligned, your external world is never going to be aligned. You're going to be consulting psychics and astrologers your whole life. And you're going to be looking for them to give you fantastic clues and what it is and how you must do this and when, at what time, when the moon is transiting that and aspecting that, blah, blah, blah. Wonderful if you have someone who's in tune with you and you can do those things. But all I'm saying is you don't need that. When you are in your inner alignment and your inner truth, those planets, like even if you've got having your most hectic Saturn return, even when Saturn whacks you, I mean, when my fiance was killed, I had a whole lot of 8th house aspecting all sorts of things. And I'll never forget my sister saying to me, you're going to sink or you're going to swim here. This is going to make you sink or this is going to make you swim. On a negative level, you can become very vicious and you can take a lot of revenge. And on a positive level, you can shine a light on a lot of great things. So the bottom line is, you know, any situation can make you turn either way.
It's your choice.
And when you're able to, yeah, and whatever you, and it's because of that, I do the work I do today. I'll tell you that much. And I took the path that I did. I don't say I wouldn't have done it otherwise, but you are yet to overcome your chart. You are yet to transcend your astrology. You are yet to transcend your numerology. Because everything is about positive and negative. Look at what your negative aspects are, and you're going to find mostly the 100%. Mine is impatience, intolerance. I think I've been spending the last 4,000 lives on those issues. I want to pass my exam in this life.
I know, right? Well, speaking of impatience and intolerance, they've just started the machinery that normally cuts the internet. So if I'm feeling this construction company is really challenging my impatience, and so if I all of a sudden I vanish, that's what's happened. They're challenging my impatience and my intolerance.
Well, we are kind of out of time anyway, but it was real fun.
That's what happened.
Well, at least we had our show.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think it's so important, and that's what I loved about the beginning. I so resonated with us. Like we had our fights. I was like, yeah, I was there. I was so there.
We're rereading this. I'm like, this is so familiar. Like this.
Totally. I could just see all of that happening. Definitely. Had a little video flashback there.
I know, right?
No. Anyway, cool, man. So is there anything else you guys want to add before we bid our viewers farewell?
I just want to say we travel alone as one. And the cool thing about the word alone, if you break it up, it's all one. I love that. Yeah. That's it.
Absolutely. And alone doesn't mean you've got to be lonely, And alone doesn't mean you've got to be a hermit either. Because it does bring you into that place of being all one. If you allow it to. Again, you can go into depths of despair and become Yani Yabarkhat. Or you can enjoy. And I think the more of us who spend more time on our own, there goes Brice. The more of us who spend more time on our own, it actually becomes more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I think that's why people tend to get stuck in their habits.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, Brice is gone. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us again tonight, this morning, afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Take really, really good care of yourselves, and we shall see you back next week, same time. And I've got to just put this thing before I go out. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Subscribe.
Bye, Chantelle.
Cheers. Bye-bye.